individual intentionality, and there's no way you talk about individual intentionality and you won't talk about being. I want to believe this is a Christian setting, so there's no how we'll talk about this, and I won't talk about Christianity, our work with God, and all of that. I'm really very sorry if we have those that are not, but there's no way, because this is who I am, and that is what makes me who I am. So permits me to dive a little bit into it. And no matter how you are, whatever religion you are into, intentionality is still required. So coming back to what I'm saying, there's no way you talk about in intentionality and you won't talk about sacrifice. So when we are talking about individuality, individual intentionality in a family context, we are talking about a selfless person, someone that is not being self-centered about himself or herself, putting every other person around him or her into consideration before making decisions, handling issues in a better way, even when it's not making sense. Those kind of issues that maybe someone does something, maybe your wife does something to you, your husband does something to you, your children does something to you, and normally the first reaction that should come out of you is like maybe, what is wrong with you, blah 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 blah. But you intentionally swallow up that feeling. You take in a deep breath and you release out wisdom, because at any point where you didn't come out with the reaction you are meant to come out, and you're taking a deep breath and you probably even sleep over it at needs be, or you just take a walk around, by the time you are coming back, if really you are a conscious person when it comes to things like that, you come back with wisdom, giving back wisdom or better way of handling such issues. So when we talk about individual intentionality, for us to dive into this properly, we are going to be talking about people and their different personalities. There is no how I want to talk about a family. I won't talk about different personalities. I won't talk about different persons. Husband and wife are differ in terms of their interaction, their relationship with people, their communication skills, their personality, who they are, their exposure, their family background, the trauma they've exposed themselves to, and all of that. All of those things make up who we are. Now, and I want us to understand that we can't force intention, because husband, wife, the next people are the children. You can't force intentionality into a child or into children by just word of mouth. Intentionality, the way you can teach children about intentionality is by acting it out. So it's so good to talk about, don't do this, you don't put this on the table, you don't talk to your mommy like this, you don't talk to your daddy like this. When you wake up in the morning, you say good morning. When you are done eating your food, you take your plate to the kitchen, you wash your plates, you wash your pants when you go to, all of those rules we set for those children. It's so sweet and it's so okay to set those rules. It's very okay and it's all right. But the fact remains that if you want to impact into a child, if you want to teach a child what it means to be intentional, then you have to act it. You have to be intentional yourself. It's so sweet to give others command and all of that, but when it comes to you doing it yourself is where the main thing is. So you have to act it yourself. You play out, you act out what you want those children to, what you want them to be, what you want them to learn. So the act of you displaying to them or teaching them by your action, by your deeds, is intentionality to those children. So now, whatever we're talking about today, I'm going to be talking, it's going to be just most of the time around the husband, the wife, because whatever we do, if we get it right, those children will automatically get it right. It's just very easy, because they'll watch the both of you do things and they will just follow suit. So that's it. So what are those things that can affect individual intentionality? What are those things that are capable of affecting individual intentionality? The first thing I'll be talking about is family upbringing. When we talk about our own generation that is going gradually now, is that generation where our parents will dish out instructions to us. We don't even know if they're doing it or not. Is that generation where if you do something wrong, before you say, ma, you get a dirty slap, Is that generation where you cannot even say, mommy, I don't like what you did, or daddy, I don't like what you did. You understand? You have in fact, you will pay for that statement. You would not dare say it again. Is that generation where we have lots of conflict between father and mother, and we watch them fight, we watch them exchange words, we watch them eat themselves in some cases. Now, for us, those processes, most of us, I'm very sure, would say, ah, God, I don't want my family to be like this. So I don't want I don't like the kind of my parents. I don't like the kind of marriage that I'm witnessing. But what we don't know is that all of those things, without your permission, have a way of sticking into your brains. They end up being some of those experiences that, if care is not taken, if you are not intentional about, and if you are not prayerfully intentional, because there's one thing to be intentional, there's one thing to say, God, God, I won't do this one, and you find yourself trying your possible best to not to do it, but somehow you just fall on the wayside. So if you are not spiritually intentional, if you are not intentional, and when we talk about intentionality, you cannot rule out discipline, you cannot rule out determination. They are all encompassed, they all make up intentionality. There's no how you can be intentional that you not be disciplined. There's no how you can be intentional that you not be determined. There's no how you can be intentional that you will not put your emotions under your subjection, under your dictation, because most of the time, why we have what's it called, explosion in scenarios where families are having issues, divorce and all of that, most of the time emotions are on the top of the game. We understand. So now, going back to what I was saying, all of those things are stayed in our brain unconsciously, some consciously, some unconsciously, and you find out, if we want to be sincere with ourselves, that most of us that are married, those things you don't want to do, that you've sworn never to do, that made you stay this long before you got married, that made you critically keep looking at brothers and keep thinking no, looking at sisters and keep thinking no, this one look like my experience in the past. No. We end up still doing it in our homes. Now that we even have homes, we find ourselves still doing it. Now, the question will not be why. The answer is, there's one thing for me to say that these are the things my parents are doing that I don't want to do. There's another thing for me to sit down with myself and ask myself, am I healed? How far were those things able to gain access into me? Have I been healed from all of those traumatic experiences? Have I been all from all of those traumatic experiences? Hope I am not planning to become a catastrophe to another man's son. Hope I'm not planning to become a catastrophe to another man's daughter. Now, which will now lead me to this point. How much of yourself do you know? Because if I know myself, then I know when something is not right with me. Then I know when I'm going out of line. What I've discovered in this era we have is that most of us don't know ourselves. You don't know yourself, so you can't even identify traumas that you are experiencing, or or the healing that needed to take place in you. Now, when you say, my parents exchange words, and in my home, I don't want to exchange words. No. But as my friend will always say, there is a way when you are traumatized, that trauma that you are traumatized, if that English is correct, attracts the kind of person you don't want. It draws those kind of people close to you. So those people, you end up getting married to those set of people, or that kind of person, and that thing that attracted them to you would make you yell at them. Because somehow you find yourself shouting. Then you might find yourself repeating errors, what you don't want to do. So that is why we needed to sit back. No matter the age you are, it's not too late thing. Because that is the first thing. If I want to be intentional, if I want to be a correct person when it comes to family, a good family, a healthy family pattern, then I shouldn't bother about my partner first. I should rather sit back to myself and ask myself the question, How was my upbringing like? You know, for someone like me, when I was growing up, my dad is a flag. My mom is a choleric. And you know it's a major part of your life you needed to know, because once you don't know your temperament, you don't know why you do what you do. You just find yourself doing some certain things, and when you don't know why you do what you do, you won't be able to find solution to what you do. So I remember back then that because of the kind of person my dad was, my dad is this kind of reserved person. He really don't talk much, and when they got married, it's easier for me to use my parents as an example because they were a very close person to me. When they got married, I think, you know, the Christian pattern, which is very okay. I don't have any issues with it. But if you are not okay with it, that's fine. But what I'm saying, what was applicable to my parents, they agreed on a joint account. So along the line, because of the kind of person my dad was, if you know who a flag is, you know what I'm talking about. And because of the kind of person my mom was more of an active person. My mom ensures everybody is fine, gets things sorted, gets money, don't want anybody to lack. If you need this, she's always very active. When I mean very active, very active. But she was obviously not intentional, but she was active based on a kind of temperament. So I needed us to understand that there are some temperament that are naturally active. And there is difference between being active and being intentional. They are just being active. So you see them almost in every situation, handling every circumstances, at the detriment of their health, at the detriment of their mental state. But they still get going because they want to make sure that they're on top of their games. So that was the kind of person my mom was. So along the line, when we started growing up, I noticed that they started having issues with finances. And what was the issue? My mom was like, my dad is not really, the amount she's bringing in, it's not the amount. Like the amount is not corresponding. What my mom is bringing in is far, what I mean far, way more than what my dad is bringing in. So these two people, I call them funny couples. These two people got me back to dig deep into why is my dad acting this way? Because initially I have every right to like castigate them. You know, there's a way as female, there's a way your mom can present a picture to you that if you don't sit back and, or even as a male child, because over time I've noticed that male children tend to be close to their mom. And there's a way the mothers present issues to you that if care is not taken, you will see your dad as the devil. There's a way your dad can present issues to you. There's a way a choleric can present issues to you that if care is not taken, you will see whoever that they are talking to you about as very evil and horrible person. But as young as I was then, I needed to go back and study, like, why is my dad acting like this? Is my dad mentally okay? You know, why? My dad does not stress himself. Oh. He's a physics teacher, mathematics teacher that is very good at what he does. And when he comes back, he puts his salary and puts it down. But my mom is a contractor, a very big woman that monthly at times she may earn 1 million, as at then 500,000, you know, those kind of big money. And imagine my dad that is earning like maybe 100,000 or 80,000. So it was not working. So I had to, it got me searching, surfing the net for a lot of things. So I stumbled on Tim Laye's book, Why You Act the Way You Do. So I started digging deep into it. So I now found out that, oh, my dad is a flag. My dad is a flag, and the second time is the flag sang, and my mom is a choleric. My mom is a cold male. Oh, I see. So it helped me on how to relate with them. It helped me on how to even help them, because I had to sit my parents down and talk to them. This is daddy, this is mom, this is this and all of that. Now, that thing alone positioned my mindset, not only on the aspect of not doing what my parents does, because initially when I don't know, the first thing that came to my mind is I would never be doing work that I would not be dropping planes on my mother. No, I would not. I had that mindset. But along the line, I had to drop all of those mindsets, because I know that if I have to continue that way, before you know it, that is another bomb. And before you know it, it becomes a generational curse. So how did I get to that point? I got to the point where I sat back with myself. It is not enough for you to just say, I don't want to repeat what my parents had done. I don't want to make the mistake my parents had done. But for you to also to sit back and ask yourself, who am I? The person I am, is it capable of predisposing me to things like this? And am I already exposed to things like this? Are these things that are happening around me, are they forming my mindset about life and family already? So if you've been able to identify who you are, you've been able to identify your person, then it will be easier for you to know that, okay, this one is not part of me. Then this thing has affected me in this area. My parents shouting has affected me. My parents fighting has affected me. It's affecting the way I even talk to people. It's affecting the way I relate with people. Okay, then it will not bring the deduction of what should I do? And that is where intentionality now comes to play. Okay, am I reading books? What kind of book should I read? Should I pray? Should I what you have to have practical things that you needed to do, like practical things that you needed to do. Read books. If it requires you go for therapy, go for therapy. If it pray, study the word of God, because we can't rule out the word of God. I say a daily renewal of your mind. Study the word of God. Then watch yourself. Study yourself and see, am I progressing? I'm not a mind person. I'm not in that line. But study yourself to see. Look at yourself. Am I working? Am I progressing? Am I getting better? Be intentional about how you improve. Be intentional about your growth and your development. Because if you are not, you can't be intentional about a home. If I'm a flag, for example, if I'm a flag and my kind of person does not stress himself or herself, then I should know that even in that my not stressing myself or herself, I have the obligation of ensuring that some certain needs in my home are met. How should I do it? Then I have to be intentional about it. Okay, I'm a choleric. I talk anyhow when I'm hungry. Then I should understand that whenever I'm angry, I have to be intentional to know that the best thing at this point is for me to keep quiet. Then I want us to understand that if you've exposed yourself to some certain traumatic experiences and you feel like those traumatic experiences are things that are capable of not making you a best version of yourself, then don't be ashamed to go for some sections. Please don't be ashamed to, because what you are doing is you are raising another generation that is still going to carry that thing. You are raising another generation that is still going to carry that thing, and that thing will still be hanging on them. You are raising another unhealthy family. That is what it means. So the whole thing that will happen as a result of your living yourself the way you are is not just about you. It's about everybody around you, your children, everybody, your wife, everybody. It's about everybody around you. So that is why you have to pay attention to yourself. And that is why it looks like I keep talking over and over again about this thing, this traumatic experiences, and you knowing yourself, because that is the foundation. That is the first thing. That is the first thing first. Why do I talk the way I do? Why do I react to my husband the way I react to him? You needed to learn to pay attention and ask yourself those questions. If you are in a home and it seems like your husband or wife has corrected you about one, two things, 3 times, 4 times, then you should know that it's a concern for that person. Then you should learn to go back to your shell and ask yourself, why am I acting this way? You're getting better at that point. It's not just for those people now. It's for yourself first. Why am I projecting to this person this way? Why am I putting on this attitude this way? Why is that this person is always complaining about this? That means there's an issue about it. How come? How did I get to this point? How did I get to this point of my life? How did I get to this phase? Because how you got to that phase would help you on how you provide the necessary and adequate solution to the problem. Now, what does intentionality, what is capable of also affecting intentionality? Your personality. I talked about that while I was talking about this, but I needed to talk about it again. If you're a married person and you don't know what your temperament is, you have not started. I have to be very blunt here. Why you act the way you do? Why you wake up in the morning and you just don't feel like talking? You need to know. It goes beyond your husband got you mad yesterday. It goes beyond, because there's some people that once the husband got them mad, the husband has apologized and he has moved on. But for some people, they will not move on. They will sleep and wake up with it, and they will still be hungry. Okay, why am I like this? There are some personalities like that. The melancholic are those set of people that they find it so hard to forgive. I'm a male, so I'm not, it's not like maybe I'm trying to package anything. They find it difficult to forgive. So if I know that, okay, my temperament is, I'm a melancholic, okay, I find it hard to forgive, then I needed to work on part of my forgiveness. How did I get to that point? I got to that point because I first of all see back to know that, okay, this is my temperament. And my temperament has the capacity to do this. I am a flag. Flags are lazy. I needed to understand that, okay, this is me. This is me. So this is my kind of person. I needed to work on this thing. Sanguine can be so scattered. And if a sanguine get married to a male that is well organized, trust me, if both of them are not intentional about how to make their family be the best version of what God expects it to be, there is going to be a lot of issues. They will just be clashing. Because whoever that is the male will keep complaining, and the sanguine will keep having a male that complains too much. And when you just keep talking, you just say, my husband can talk too much, my husband can complain too much, my husband can complain too much. What are we meant to do? We are meant to compliment ourselves, yes, but we should not end up being a thorn to ourselves flesh. How can I not be a thorn to my husband's flesh? By trying, or by all my wife's flesh, by trying as much as possible to understand my person, my personality. Okay, I can be irritable when a place is rough. I know that already. So when a place is rough, I needed to understand that, okay, this place is rough. Okay, right now, this place is so irritating me. I cannot deal with this. Okay, the reason why I'm acting like this is because of the kind of person that I am. Because when you don't understand your nature, when you don't understand your temperaments, you will just always find yourself exploding every minute. But your temperament, understanding your temperament would help the act of intentionality to be more easier, because once you know that I am irritable and you get to a place that is irritable, you can easily talk to yourself and say, Dobra, now you are meant, in fact, you're already getting irritable already. You're already getting irritable. But you needed to understand that things cannot always be the way you want it. And you needed to also know that even when people arrange this thing for you, you are still not contented with it. You still want to arrange it yourself. So you needed to know that maybe those people around you are tired of you and they don't, because they cannot satisfy you. Maybe that is why they are not arranging it. Now, can you now, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Maybe that is why they're not arranging it. So can you now try and calm down? Because the best person that can talk to you is you. Is when you are done talking to you, every other person that wants to talk to you can now talk, and it will make more sense. But if you've not learned how to talk to you, for you to understand your language, every other person talking to you, you always keep feeling they don't understand you. It's always the, oh God, I don't know, they don't understand me. Oh, why is that everybody don't understand me? How come everybody don't? Is it possible that everybody around you and everybody around you will not understand you? Is it really possible? So you needed to learn to pay attention to your personality. Your temperament. When you pay attention to your temperament, you will understand your strengths, you will understand your weaknesses, you will understand where your strength is coming to play, you will understand where your weaknesses is coming to play, and necessary actions to take. How do I get better? How do I get better with this kind of my weakness? How do I get better in this area? How do I get better in this other area? For yourself first, then for your family. Because when you're having the mindset of, I needed to get better, I needed to get better for myself, I needed to get better for my family, because if I don't get better for my family, hey, they said intentionality, at the end of the day, you'll be frustrated, you'll be tired. But if you are doing it for yourself, you will know that the investment is for myself. And when you're able to do it for yourself, it will be easier for you to be selfless for other person. You won't even be selfish. It will be very easy. It will flow more easily. Now, what does intentionality do? How does it contribute to the family? Why is it necessary to the family? The first thing is it helps communication. These are the, you know, if your husband or if your husband or wife offend you, if we have two families, two different families, and the husband or the wife, let's say, okay, the wife offend the husband, the same offense, an intentional family will handle that issue and it will be over and you would not hear any noise. You will not even hear anything. Why these other people are still shouting and screaming? Those people are done and they've moved on. One of those things is it helps in communication. You would have effective, healthy, and productive communication. Intentionality helps you not to keep harboring things on your mind. Intentionality helps you to sit back and have what is called healthy conversation. Because one, your aim, you know, by the time you're applying, you are like, okay, we have to talk about this. What it does is, what do we want? What do we want to achieve? Why are we addressing this? Communication in that and that aspect, the communication I'm talking about in that aspect, that communication will help you to know that, okay, if I want to talk to my wife about this, I have to be intentional, and in my act of being intentional, I must not shout on her. I must understand the plight she's coming, the angle she's coming from. If I want to talk to my husband about this, I must first understand why he's saying this and why he needed us to talk like, or put this in this way. That's intention. That thing, that, you know, there's a way intentionality makes you take a break and think of what next to say. And when you're about talking, intentionality will help you not focus on yourself about the conversation. You know, for some of us when we want to talk, you'll be talking about how I have done this for this family, I have been helping people, I have spent all my money. Intentionality does not respect I have done this, I have did it, I have been doing this, I bought the house, I bought this one, I do this one. Intentionality does not accept the word I. Intentionality comes with selflessness. So what it does is it helps in healthy, productive, and effective communication. Another thing is intentionality is appreciative. Because you are intentional, every little thing that whatever your partner does to you will make a lot of sense. Why? Maybe your type of person is the type of person that does not know how to appreciate people. How to say, okay, thank you, or sorry. Or maybe when someone has done something, you say sorry. Maybe that's the kind of person. But intentionality will not make you sit back and say, and you not within yourself, this thing normally, because now don't forget where you're coming from, because you've understand your kind of person, because you've understood your nature, because you've understand your temperament, and you know that your temperament does not easily say sorry, your temperament does not easily appreciate, your temperament does not easily process information, they just give it out both, you know. Because of that, you will now be able to come and say, okay, at this point, you needed to say sorry. You needed to appreciate the fact that she did this and did that for you. Because intentionality does not come with any entitlement mentality. You cannot be intentional and say you're having an entitlement. It does not work. There are two parallel lines. They can't mix. You can't be intentional and keep having this mentality of have to run with our husband and wife. If you've done it, you have done it also. You know, there's some people like that. They will say, if you've done this, I've done it. Say, well, anybody can do it now. No. Intentionality, it's growth. It's like you are watering a flower. You are watering a seed. You are watering a seed. You go every month to water a seed. You give money. So it helps. It helps in understanding your partner. Like it helps you to sit back to study people. Because a time will come when two people come together, you ask yourself the question of why is my wife acting the way she's acting? It will make you go back to yourself to ask questions. Okay, is this the kind of person she is? Or is this the kind of person? If you are the type that does not see anything good in people, trust me, you cannot be intentional. So the first thing is not addressing how to appreciate people. The first thing is you picking good things about people. You picking good things about yourself. And then learning to pick good things about people. Then it will be easier for you to then narrow it down to, okay, picking good things about maybe your wife or your partner. So, all of these things still falls back to who we are. So if you take time to study, okay, this is why my wife acts the way she does. Okay, why is it that my wife or my husband always argue and shout? Okay, this is why he talks like this and talk. Okay, I think she wants it like this. By the time you take time to study that person, don't forget, you must have taken time to study yourself, because you cannot study someone else if you've not studied yourself. You can't even come to that phase where you say you want to study someone else. So by the time you've taken time to study that person, you've studied yourself, you've studied that person, your reaction to that person, for a normal person, not a narcissist husband or a narcissist wife, please. Because there are ways where people like that will take the whole scenario upside down. And because they've not studied their partner and understand who their partner is, they will not start picking on their weaknesses, putting their weaknesses to their face. Not that. But understanding who this person is, appreciating this person for who she is, and ensuring that the both of you working towards being the best version of yourself. And I needed us to understand that at this point, marriage is spiritual. So whatever you do, whatever method you want to apply, there must be a foundation, and that foundation must be built on God. So if now there's one thing to say, okay, I want to be intentional, I want to be doing this, I want to be doing that, we want to be praying together, we want to be reading books together, we want to sit back together and go and travel, we want to go to countries, we want to go to 22 countries because we want to build the relationship between the both of us and all of that. All of those things are good. But we must cement it on God. It must be cemented. Marriage is spiritual. No matter how you undo it from a human perspective, if you don't put in the God factor in it, you will still find yourself struggling. Now, what does the God factor in marriage does? It helps you to do whatever you do without struggle. It helps you to communicate with your partner without struggle. It helps you to appreciate people without you contending with yourself. That is what it does. So we needed to understand the God factor in all of this. The God factor must not be, it can't be overemphasized. The God factor. So please, I want us to, at this point, understand that I'm being distracted. I want us to understand at this point that if we are talking about intentionality, we are talking about what should make us what should make us the best version of ourselves, what should make us as partners to be the best of ourselves as individuals. Because at the point of intentionality, we are doing 100-100. We are not doing 50-50. At the point of intentionality, I'm putting all myself into this home. My partner is putting all herself or all of himself into this home. And what would this does? It will flow to your finances, it will flow to your spiritual life, it will flow to your communication skills, it will flow to your career, it will flow to your interpersonal relationship with yourself, it will flow to your sex life, it will flow to every aspect of your life. If I want to forget what we see on Facebook, forget the whole paparazzi going on Facebook. Every one of us know that LD marriage, for you to know what LD marriage is, then you needed to know what intentionality is. And if you must know what intentionality is, then you needed to know who you are. And if you must know who you are, then you must understand what has made you that person that you are. Now, if I'm being exposed to a family where I'm being tortured, where I'm being beaten, where I'm being maltreated, the way I will respond to it will be different from the way a choleric will respond to it, will be different from the way a sanguine will respond to it, will be different from the way a phlegmatic will respond to it. So it's possible for you to come out of a home, to come out from a home, and all of you in that home, maybe you are 10, or you are 5, or you are 8, no matter whatever the number, are reacting to the same thing, but in different ways because of your different personality or because of your different temperament. So you needed to go back and sit back. If I must be intentional about my life, Now, intentionality about, you can't be intentional about your marriage and you won't be intentional about your life. So if I have to be intentional about my life, then I needed to sit back to understand who I am, who I want to be. How do I want to be what I'm saying I want to be? What is the aim and objective? What do I want to achieve? Okay, in my family, in my wife, in my children, what do I want to achieve? In my business, in my career, what do I want to achieve? And at the end of the day, we'll just find out that you are doing perfectly what you should do because you are too conscious of your actions. Now, some of us, our experiences had exposed us to some certain mental issues. We cannot but not talk about it. As the experiences we've gone, because you see, what about all of the reactions we give back to people? What about all the reactions we give back to our partners in marriage? It still falls back to our upbringing. It falls back to what we're exposed to. It falls back to how we grew up. It falls back to those experiences we've had in life. So we cannot over talk about that. So how do I want to address this part of me? By sitting back. If you know that this thing has cost you to see people in a different, I know that there are some people that you keep seeing people from this angle of this person. I can't trust this person. I can't trust. And you go with that mindset, you can't trust this person into marriage, and you can't trust your husband. Your husband is not cheating, but in your brain, you are not telling him that you are thinking that he's not cheating. In your brain, he has slept with like 8 men, 10 women. And in your brain, that is what is making you act the way you act to him. And unfortunately to the man may not know that is the aim, that is your reaction. Even you yourself may not know that is where you're bringing out what you are bringing out. So the best thing is get ill. You can never be intentional with trauma. You can never be intentional with trauma. Get ill, because if you get intentional with trauma, what you'll be projecting out is hurt, is wounds, is maggots. That is what you'll be projecting out. So the best thing is get healed. Healing is a process, and be sure you are going through that process. Be sure you are going through that process. Another man's son, another woman's son, or another woman's daughter, or another man's daughter or woman, whatever the case must be, must not be punished for your traumas, must not be killed for your traumas. Get better. Work towards being a better version of you. Then it will obviously definitely help you to be a better version of yourself in your home, in your children. For some of us, the reason why you spank your children is not because they do something wrong. It's because back there, some things are ringing in your brain and is affecting your reactions to those children. That thing is a determining factor to your reaction. So I want us to learn from today that if I want to be intentional about myself, if I want to be intentional about my home, if I want to be intentional about my family, then I must learn to sit back and identify, know who I am, know why I do what I do, know what brought me to this point. Is it because I'm intentional, or because a lot of things had affected me and is affecting my reaction to people around me? And the closest people around you are those that will be punished for it. If you have a mindset that, when in my family, people die at the age of 50, and it has been working like that. If you have the correct mindset, if you go and work on yourself with prayer, at your age, you will not die at 50. All of this mindset is so powerful that if care is not taken, it will be a determining factor of everything you are doing. So please, let us learn to go back to ourselves and identify why you act the way you do. Take time and study yourself. Note why some of those things that are happening to you. Deal with them. Then come back to your family front. Come back to your home. Come back to your family front. Then start addressing issue with a correct and healthy mindset. And at the end of the day, you find out that you are consciously doing what you are meant to do with a correct mindset, and you get a very good result. You see that things will just be working out well. You will see that there will be less of argument. You see that there will be less of shouting. You see that there will be understanding. There will be everything you project out will come from a place of love. Yeah. LD lifestyle, LD behavior, LD attitude, LD reaction. Now, does it mean that we will not have emotional issues? Does it mean that we will not shout? Does it mean that a time will not come? But even when you are shouting from an LD point of view. I don't know if I'm making any sense to anybody. You are shouting from an LD point of view. If you are talking to your partner, you are talking from a LD point of view. So even if your partner is like, what is it? You are able to bring the person back down to like, we are not talking about this in this manner. We are addressing this in a correct manner. We are addressing this, and this is why I'm saying this. I don't mean to do this. You will find yourself that you're even talking from a sensible place. So I want to leave this with us today. If you want to achieve intentionality in your home, you have to be intentional with yourself first. And if you want to be intentional with yourself, you have to sit down with yourself. Know yourself. Know yourself. Try and know yourself. Know your reactions. Know why you do what you do. Know your partner. Study them. Study them. Don't study them and start saying your father has something this used to happen to you, so that is what will happen to you. No. Study them elderly. And journey together. Journey together. And I pray that God will help us in Jesus' name. But I want us to have this at the back of our mind. Whatever you do, God must be at the center of all. There must be intentionality in your walk with God. It makes it much easier for you to be intentional in every other part of your life. Thank you, and God bless you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. I want us to appreciate our guest minister. I want to believe that I've learned a lot of things. Sincerely, this teaching is great. There's a lot of things that I've seen personally. Thank you for opening our eyes to see the truth. Sincerely, so many things that are causing issues in families today. They boils, it boils down to understanding our personality, understanding ourselves. Sincerely, and if we are able to achieve that, there will be so much peace and joy in the home. Thank you very much. I want to believe that every one of us we've learned so many things. Thank you very much, Ma.
I
God
think
bless
someone
you.
is raising up their hands. I don't know if anyone has a question or something.
Yes, we will have, yes, yes. Please, if you have any question, please, you can raise your hand or you drop it in the message box. Okay. Pastor Gudipe Diary, I can see that you are raising your hand. Do you have any question, sir? Please, you can unmute yourself and
All right, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I want to appreciate God for this nice session. It's, it's, it's very, very educative and it's an intentional teaching. God bless you so much. Man.
Amen.
My question is very simple. When it comes to home or marriage, is it possible for someone, either of the party, to be intentional? Why the other is not intentional on on his or her part? In that kind of scenario, what can the intentional part do? Why there is this implication that the other person is not intentional about either himself or about the relationship? I don't know if my question is understood, ma.
Yes, it's understood. So what you're trying to say is that one person is intentional, the other party is not intentional.